I'm still here with Barrister Enibe Effiong, and we're discussing the NYSC saga, the economic hardship, and the struggles that leads sometimes to social media protest and cancel culture. Barrister, if you can hear me, one of the first questions people have asked is almost like she was rousing mob justice on social media when she made those statements. And then if you go by the bylaws of the NYSC, towards the third segment, there is a place that suggests that she's supposed to have a 30-day extra elongation of her process if she goes on to do what she has done on social media. What's your take on this? Well,
I don't know whether you have the bylaw with you, because I have a copy of
I do have the bylaw. I printed the bylaw completely.
Oh, correct. So this will be an informed conversation. I have the National Youth Service Corps bylaw revised 2011 with me. I would like you to refer me to the part that she may have possibly breached. Look, I have read this bylaw over and over again. I cannot find any provision that anyone can say she's slightly violated. And if you show me any provision that she violated...
What about the place where it says... What about the place that says any member who violates the progressive channels of communications as laid down and airs their grievance in news media shall be liable, for a penalty? What about that spot?
Well, if you can refer me to the clause you are referring to, but because what you are reading, can you mention the clause you are referring to? Part of the confusion is that people are sharing the old version. This is the revised bylaw 2011. And this revised bylaw, what you have read is not what it is. The provision that relates to channel of communication is channel of communication relating to policies of the Corps, policies of the NYSC, right? If you have grievances within the scheme, this Corps member, Rita, has not said anything relating to policies of the NYSC. In fact, when you read through the provision carefully, it is even relating to issues while in orientation camp. It is in relation to the orientation camp. Okay? So when you say channel of communication, about what? What is the business of the NYSC with the cost of egg in the market? Does NYSC regulate that? You cannot say that because you are serving in the NYSC, you no longer have an opinion about what is affecting you as a Nigerian. She has not gone into issues relating to policies of the NYSC. And she has not addressed the media. She has not spoken, has she spoken to the media? If she granted a press interview or spoke to the press, I would like to know if Channels TV was there. Because I have checked all the video shots in question. There is none where she spoke to the media. Okay? It is like saying...
You don't calculate, you don't think that social media is media in that sense?
2 points. Number one, the language of the bylaw, and I said, look at the bylaw. The language of the bylaw is addressing the press on policies while in the orientation camp. Okay, she's no longer in orientation camp. That is one. Number two, the policies must be policies of the NYSC. Once the comments made by a Corps member is outside the purview of the scheme, NYSC has no jurisdiction. So you cannot say that as a Nigerian, because I've offered to save Nigeria for 1 year, I have no right to complain about the price of fuel. That would be absurd. I have no right to say that the cost of transportation is too high. The NYSC kit, the uniform, right, is not a chain of enslavement. It is not meant to seal somebody's mouth. That is not what the NYSC is meant for. And part of this confusion is because this was something that was introduced by the military. So many Nigerians, quite sadly, are suffering from a post-military complex. They are unable to divorce themselves from this military mentality. This is supposed to be a democracy. There is nothing in the bylaw that she has violated. It doesn't even apply. NYSC has no business talking to this lady on this matter. And we are waiting for them to even come out and say, because at this moment, they've not clearly told us the section of the bylaw that she has violated. I have studied the bylaw carefully. I haven't seen anything that she has done wrong. The third channel of communication in relation to what?
So you think that she does not owe the NYSC nor the government an apology?
No, what has to happen? It is the NYSC that is owing her an apology. And it is the Nigerian government that is owing her a listening ear. The woman who called to threaten her, we will have to look at that, the legality of that, and the possible legal consequence for that. We cannot accept for Nigeria to be a banana republic, right? Because even under the act, what is the worst that they can do? What is the worst that they can do? Assuming that a Corps member even violates the bylaw, maybe 1 month extension, But in this case, she has not even violated anything. And you are calling to threaten her. The woman is not the spokesperson of President Tinubu. If somebody says Tinubu is a terrible president, is that not a statement of facts for which millions of Nigerians are in agreement? And they say, why did you say Lagos is smelling? Lagos is stinks and whatever. Why do we have Loma in Lagos? When you make
such a statement, Barrister, when you make such a statement about the president, do you have evidence to substantiate all that you have said? Or can you make that claim in both statements with your right claims? Can you make it with your right claims? Or do we just say it because we just have to say it?
No, saying that Tinubu is a terrible president is self-evident. Right? It's self-evident.
So self-evidence, do you use self-evidence in the courts?
I mean this...
do you use self-evidence in the courts?
The evidence is before you. The evidence is before you. If the president is not terrible, Nigerians will be able to afford...
Is the evidence
I want to give you the evidence.
Is the evidence before me admissible in court?
Of course it is admissible. Because the judge who will preside over the case could not have possibly trekked to the court. He would have had to enter a vehicle, and he knows how much he's buying fuel. That judge, possibly in his house, maybe he's depending on diesel or fuel, and he knows how much he's paying for it. Every Nigerian can attest.
So you are saying that the judge will use that as his yardstick then?
I'm telling you that
in court.
The question of whether this president is terrible or not is one that there shouldn't be a debate. And anyone that is seeking to debate it is just engaging in intellectual duplicity with profound respect. Because I can sit here and chronicle facts that is conclusive about, in fact, she was very kind in her language. If I was the one, I could have used more acerbic language. How can you say, and this is the president, by the way, who was promising us heaven and earth. Today, Nigerians cannot feed. Look at the cost of data that has been increased. You can't even have access to internet. The cost, the electricity tariff has been increased. Our naira, our exchange rate is nothing to write home about. Healthcare, nothing to write home about. The war on corruption, the president has not fought it. Austerity, Nigeria is going through a very difficult phase, but you are spending billions, and they keep saying, oh, be patriotic, love Nigeria. Core members should love Nigeria. But the president is so patriotic that he needed a new aircraft to be able to fly around. They are so patriotic, he had to spend billions to build a new lodge for the vice president. Who is paying for the lodge that core members are staying? Who is paying for the transport fare that core members are using to go to work? Why is it that when we speak about patriotism, the man is only made of the Nigerian people and never of our leaders? This core member must be given a national honor because she has provoked, and let me advise, and I say this with all sense of responsibility, those who are trying to threaten us to be careful.
In 30 seconds, because we are closing.
I'm advising the NYSC and the Nigerian government to be careful. Because if you push this case, other core members will now say, no, this is not just about her. And nobody can preempt how that will end. We have to listen. We have to listen to what the nation is saying. The nation is speaking. It is whether Tinubu will listen or not. And whether Tinubu is a terrible president or not, of course I agree that he's a terrible president. If you doubt me, go to the villa and conduct a census. Majority of the workers there will tell you that Tinubu is a terrible president. Tinubu himself knows that he has fell on his promises.
All right. Thank you very much.
You cannot punish someone. You cannot punish someone for speaking the truth.
All right, Barrister, thank you very much for coming on the program. I mean, there are also millions who would also argue that the president might have done something great for them. And so we must be able to strike this balance. Thank you very much for being on the program today.
Thank you for having me.